Hello guys, welcome to my first deck tech, and today's deck I'm going to be featuring Human Reanimator. This is currently my standard deck, and overall it is very good in my opinion, and I definitely think you should give it a shot. So I'm going to first show you the cards and then I will talk about the cards. So here is my deck, and I will show a list so I don't have to go through and name each card individually. So basically the strategy of this deck is to kind of self-mill yourself and get lands or creatures, and then basically reanimate your target, being Angel Glory's Rise, and bring back all your humans. And if you're playing against a zombie deck, actually exile all their zombies on the battlefield. So unlike most decks running Human Reanimated, they are not running Kessig Malkans. Now I think this is a great addition to my deck. It just adds a little versatility to it, especially when they don't expect it, because most decks aren't playing Kessig Malkans. But basically what this allows a player to do is, if I have creatures on my battlefield, then most times I'm bringing back at least 5 to 8 humans back with Angel Glory's Rise. It basically does 1 damage for each human on the battlefield. So usually if I get this guy back with all my other humans, I'm getting in for at least 5 or 8 damage, and that's before any damage done from other things. And so with Golden Knight Commander, basically it's a similar effect. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, it gets +1/+1. Now the reason that card is so great is because of Izzet Staticaster. It has haste, and so basically I pump it, it gets +1/+1 for each other creature entering the battlefield. So if 5 creatures are entering the battlefield besides Golden Knight Commander, then it just became a 5/8, and I can swing. So Kessig Malkans plus Golden Knight Commander and Izzet Staticaster is just ridiculous right there. So the reason this deck is able to survive though is because of Izzet Staticaster and Nightshade Pillar. When they're soulbound, it does Izzet Staticaster can do 1 damage of Death Touch to each creature named the same thing. So if they have multiple of the same creature on the battlefield, I can just do 1 to each and they're dead. And it has Flash and Haste, so I can just wait till, if they have 1 Gravecrawler and I know they have a second one in their hand and they play it, I can just kill both their Gravecrawlers. So it's pretty awesome. Zealous Conscript is just kind of a late game thing in case I am unable to unbarrel rates my Angel. And Huntmaster of the Fells is probably the best human, just giving you another body and gaining 2 life, and when it flips it just does 2 damage to target creature and 2 damage to opponent. It's just a really great card. So, like I said, the main goal of the deck is to kind of self-mill yourself, and then you bring back all your humans and unbarrel rates your Angel, and just swing for lethal most of the time. I pretty much, every time I get my Angel back in field, it's usually game over in anywhere between 1 to 3 turns. It's usually not more than 3 turns. They're usually not prepared, and I can just keep killing their creatures, and it's just game over from there. The only problem with this deck is it suffers a little to control. It's not usually my best matchup. I can usually win against aggro decks pretty efficiently. They usually think they have it in a bag. One of my best matchups was against Leslie Aggro. They had 20 life and I had 1, and I basically had a stacked graveyard, and I had 5 lands and I had 1 unbarrel rate in my graveyard, but I still needed my Angel. I didn't have a Faithless Looting, but I had 1 Angel in my hand. So basically I was just like, I need a Faithless Looting. Top deck Looting, and I was able to get rid of my Angel and unbarrel rate my Angel and get everything back and swing for lethal. I had 2 Kessig Malkans, and I brought back like 7 humans, and I just it was ridiculous. I just swing for lethal. They were so pissed. And I basically did that twice. First game they had 20 life. The second game I had 1. They had 20 life both games, and I had 1 the first game and 4 the second game. I just came back to crush them. Farseek is an interesting card in this game, in this deck I should say. It's not, I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but it is nice against those aggro decks, so I can get like a turn 3 unbarrel rates and maybe a 1 or 2 humans back. Also, it's nice to have like a turn 3 Huntmaster in case I just need bodies to stall the game. Grizzly Salvage is a really nice card, and it's kind of why I'm playing black. some human Reanimator decks aren't playing black because they don't find it and they'd rather have blue so they could play Is It Staticast or Is It Charm or Chronic Flooding. I was running Chronic Flooding version, but it's too weak, and if you're playing against a mill deck, you need your land, and you can't just mill yourself to help the opponent. So Grizzly Savage is better than Chronic Flooding in my opinion, especially because it lets you get a creature or a land, so sometimes you need the creature rather than the land. A lot of times from models I'll just be getting shock lands, and shock lands hurt you after a while, and on average per game I usually take 6 to 8 life from a shock land, so they hurt you eventually. So my recent FNM, the first match I played was pretty much a straight Is It deck. I'm not exactly sure what the goal of the deck was. It was kind of a homebrew, to be honest, and I won 2-0 easily. The next game I played was a solid Esper Control. That was kind of a hard matchup, and they weren't really expecting my deck. They didn't exactly know how to play it, and they were doing pretty well, and I was just playing absolutely great, and I took game 1 with ease. The second game, they definitely boarded up pretty well, and they definitely hurt me when I got Unbarrel Rates in the graveyard. They were just removing it, and I was like, ouch. So that game took a little longer, and I think they ended up taking that because I had no answer to their Geist of Saint draft. It was pretty ridiculous. They got me good that game. Third game, I had a pretty good hand, and I just stalled the game, and I think we ended up tying that game. So at that point, I'm 1 win and 1 tie. The third game I played was pretty much the exact same deck. It was more Azorius though. There was maybe just a little black. Game 1 I took with ease because no one expected it. He had no idea that I was coming, and he thought he was going to play like a control matchup because that seemed to be what most people were playing control. There wasn't too many aggro decks in my FNM. And so took game 1 of ease. Game 2 he definitely boarded up just like the previous match I had played, and he was able to get rid of my Unbarrel Rights from my graveyard, and that kind of hurt me, and he ended up taking that game very, very painfully. Game 3 he almost won, and he Entreat the Angels, Miracled, and got 5 Angels, and I had my Is It Staticaster in the field, but I had no Nightshade Peddler on. I'm screwed. I can only do 1 to these. There's nothing I could do. And I was about to scoop when I top decked Nightshade Peddler, and I had Cavernous Souls in the field, and basically got him out, killed all of his Angels, and just stalled. So I think I ended up tying that game. So now I'm 1 and 2 with 2 ties. And in my 4th game, I played this American Mill. It's actually my friend's deck, and he calls it Undead America. And basically the goal of the deck is to play Undead Alchemist and just mill me. And so every time my creature goes into, actually doesn't even go into my graveyard, it goes into my exile, he gets a 2/2 zombie, and whenever a zombie does damage to me, it just mills me. So it wouldn't really hurt me if my creatures were going into my graveyard, because then I could just Unbarrel Rights them with Angel of Glory's Rise, but he was getting rid of them into my exile, so that hurt. And then I actually misplayed, and because I got Zealous Conscripts back and Angel of Glory's Rise, and instead I took his Jace and I milled myself instead of giving Angel of Glory's Rise haste, and I could have won that game with ease. It was a really silly misplay, and it cost me the game. My final game was against Selesnya Aggro, and as I said previous, I just won with ease. It was a little embarrassing. I felt bad for the kid almost. By the end of the match, he was like red in the face, and I actually apologized to him. I was like, that was kind of unfair how I beat you, and it's like, you're a better player than my deck just kind of gets lucky like that, so don't take it personal. But if you're ever wondering, I definitely would try this deck out. The main reason I'm playing is because it's something different, and not too many people were playing it. I was kind of tired of the meta at the time. I'm not really a troll player. I'm more aggro, but I didn't really like the aggro decks at the moment. I think once Gatecrash officially hits this week, I will probably end up switching to mid-range, Naya, or whatever, mid-range. I think that deck is pretty solid, and who knows what's going to be out there. I mean, Thragtusk is not quite what it used to be, and so that was one of my least favorite cards in Standard. I just think it's overpowered, so thanks to Skullcrack. But I know I'm really interested to see if this deck can survive once Gatecrash hits. I hope it can. I think that actually might be help. There's several humans that could probably be good in this deck that would definitely make it stronger. So yeah, some people question me about my lands. I don't really find a problem with my lands. I never usually, whoever I play, I usually get the lands I need. And with Mulch and Grizzly Salvage and Farseek, it's usually not a problem. It's a pretty smooth deck. The only problem that I really run into is maybe getting Umbrella Rates in the graveyard. And the only really way I can do that is either maybe I have more than 7 cards in my hand or Faithless Looting. So other than that, so it's a pretty moderately paced tempo deck, and it's pretty fun. It's not too hard to play. You just gotta know what to do at the right time, I'm guessing. You kind of have to know what the opponent's playing and understand their deck. If you don't know what they're going for, then it's definitely going to be a little harder to play against, because they usually are waiting to counter something, and so you have to you kind of have to give them bait a lot of times, or you want to let them counter something that you don't really want to get rid of, but you could care less if they counter it. So a lot of times I'll let them counter my Huntmaster, so then I can just Umbrella Rights my Angel and get a lot more from it. So yeah, Control is probably my hardest matchup, and it's usually the most frustrating. But other than that, I think this deck is excellent, and if you ever get the chance, give it a try. So thanks again for watching. Please like this video and subscribe. Thanks, guys.